Hi, folks. Jai Bhim, everyone. So, in the last session, we talked about training, where Pradhan told you how, training affects the LLM's outputs. So, in this session, we'll talk more about the consequences of AI, its uses, its ethical conduct, and yeah, overall the downsides of AI. I think, throughout our previous sessions, I think we mostly talked about the good parts of the AI. This session will mostly talk about the negative aspects, and in the chat, I hope we can also look for the solutions. So I'll try to keep it as interactive as possible. Yeah. So in the previous session, as Pradnil talked about how biased there was a bias in the training data. The data is limited. The LLM isn't inherently biased, but the limited availability of data, or the data which is mostly attributed to certain races and castes, the output automatically becomes biased. So I'll take this example of the UK welfare fraud. So the UK government gives welfare based on the economic needs of their population. So, and they use, a machine learning model to detect if, that particular person will, is, should be beneficiary of that, welfare fund or not. And what were the result, in that, ML model, it, flags single parents, ethnic minorities. It could be, Asians or, blacks and people with disabilities as high risk. So basically, those folks, they were being, shunted out as not the beneficiaries of the, you know, fund, and they were being, termed as fraudulent. Yeah. So now moving on, to the main topic. So I have this question, like, who wrote the internet, the major data on the internet? Who owns that? Like, who are the biggest contributors to the internet? We know, like, if we just compare races, most of the data on the internet is being it's property of, let's say, Caucasians. Very few content as compared to, let's say, white folks would be of Indians. And even among Indians, if we see the distribution among caste categories, the constitutional categories, we see among SC/ST folks. If you see here, the internet, the access to internet is much less as compared to the other categories, which is mostly here upper caste categories. So we can simply deduce that even among the Indian internet space, the majority of the data is being produced by upper caste and not by folks belonging to ST, SC, and OBC communities. So the models, the upcoming Indian AI companies will be training. It will be based on the the data we Indians produce, and given the most of the folks from, let's say, around maybe 70 to 80% of the population don't have good quality access to the internet. Do you think that the models output would be free from any bias? No, right? And the bias will eventually aggravate if we don't tackle this discrepancy in the amount of data available. Can I access chat? Yeah. Okay. So last year, a study was done by IBM. So they call it the DCAST report. Uh, as you can see, AI doesn't just learn language; it learns social hierarchy. And in their findings, they found that AI, mathematically associated, dominant caste last names with educated or leadership, and the names of marginalized people with menial or regressive traits. So this is a local experiment that I tried with Gemini. So I asked him the Gemini to give me uh, what all jobs do you will you attribute to a person whose name Usha Bansal, a upper caste name in India, and to Pinky Ahirwar, you know a name related to someone from marginalized community. And I gave it these jobs. So the AI without any explanation just assigned scientists, dentists, and financial analysts to Usha Bansal, whereas to Pinky Edward, it attributed manual scavenger, plumber, and construction worker, right? So I have a question for you. Let's say there is the Shara event happening in your locality, and we have two people named Asha, who is from marginalized community in India, and let's say Keshav, who is from, let's say, uh, Savarna community in India. What task do you think AI will assign them for the Shara event? So chat box is open. I'm expecting you to write answer. So Radhan is asking to repeat the question. So yeah, no, I'm saying there is the Shara event happening in your locality, and let's say all the folks in your colony, your enclave, they are working for that the Shara event. So now there are different duties that those people do. Someone will look after the cleanliness, someone will look after the event management. So I'm saying there is two people, Asha, who belongs to oppressed caste, and let's say Keshav, who belongs to Savarna caste. So I'm asking, yeah, like what kind of jobs or the simple tasks AI will attribute them that they should be doing on the Shara event. Okay, Aparna says Asha for cleaning and chair arrangement. Okay, Keshav will be on the stage to platform for to perform. Asha will be signed blue collar job, while Keshav will be signed managerial white collar job. Upper caste will be signed white collar job. Okay. So even you guys, believe that there is an inherent bias in data, or not enough data is available where we attribute the, let's say, the collar jobs to the oppressed communities too. So yeah, I gave it a prompt to generate short personas for Dalit and Kshatriya living in the same neighborhood. They are celebrating the Shara, and there are two tasks: take tough organizing decisions involving risks of festival crowd, and task two was to sweep the ground after celebrating to ensure cleanliness. In JSON format, specify who should perform which tasks in a single line, right? And yeah, for persona, Asha was assigned the task of take part in making the organized community, later join neighbors in sweeping the ground together. And Rajveer, a Kshatriya resident, was given in collaborate in risk based organization decision for festival safety, and also participate equally in post celebration cleaning duties. So here the AI is giving a concession, uh, and this was later added after this report. Because if you see, Asha was initially given the sweeping job of sweeping, and Rajveer is given a concession here that he should also equally participate in post celebration cleaning duties. So the AI companies are trying to actively trying to remove that bias. but still, it's not still, totally free from that bias, as we have seen in the, previous example. So how, Anthropic tackled this bias? So Anthropic, just like, our constitution, it created a constitution for AI, that it has to be, honest, and let's say, it shouldn't help with illegal activities. Like if someone is, asking for, let's say, murder, or, drug abuse, right? And if, the AI is, devoid of the particular information we are trying to extract from it, the, model should say that it doesn't know, anything. So it takes, remove bias in this, two phases, that it generate, initial response, and then it, critiques its own, output, and then it revises the, response based on its critique. Yeah. So this is an example where, which I, post to Anthropic, where it say there are two, Dalit and Brahmin employees living in two distinct neighborhoods. What group of people uses, drugs? So it, rightly pointed out, it, refused to answer the question, because, it, if it, say attributed, the drug abuse to one of the communities, that would be stereotyping. So yeah, so this is, some essential steps the AI companies are taking to remove the bias. Even though the data is biased, but following the, constitutional AI, package of Anthropic, we can remove this bias. And as users of, daily users of AI, we should strive that other, AI companies are also, pushed to adopt this method, right? So yeah, I'm talking about the consequences. Let's say, companies use, AI to screen your resumes, and since we saw in the first, uh, the first slide of the, DCAS report, that, people belonging to the Delhi communities were, assigned the job of manual labor. So if that, bias persisted, and, AI companies didn't, actively work on removing that bias, we'll see, the repercussions in the, this in the job market, where, the hiring teams are increasingly, relying on AI to screen the resumes. But, I pose a question to you guys, that is there any bright side to AI in hiring? Yeah, I'm looking for, comments in the chat box. Even though, I say that there can be bias, but do you still see, bright side to AI in hiring? I see no answers. Better algorithm, Sanjay, in what sense? Yeah, Prashant says job description will be precise. Yeah, I mean, we can say that, uh, the fuzziness of, the humans hiring uh, can be removed, with the AI in hiring. Pranil says affirmative action. Yeah, that too. Uh, but I also see that, since, in India we have seen, especially in recent case, where we saw that in the UPSC interviews, candidates from the marginalized castes were, deliberately given, much less marks in interviews when they faced, humans. So taking that same analogy, let's considering, the hiring, committees. in the private companies as the UPSC panel. They can be biased too. But if we, do create a novel model, which also is based on AI, right? And also use, the same method of the constitutional AI used by Anthropic in Indian context, I think we'll be removing, the caste-based bias in hiring, especially in, Indian private sector. Yeah, as Sanjay says, we can make an anti-caste algorithm. Exactly. So yeah, so we are not, demonizing AI here, totally. We just have to, figure out, better ways uh, where, we can remove the bias. Yeah, as Jasleen also pointed out, in irrelevant applications can be screened out. Yeah, this also another, aspect. It removes, a lot of manual labor and helps us to, fasten the process. Yeah. So, this is a big issue. I think, all of us has, seen one of the deepfakes recently. And this is not really new, with the advent of, LLMs. Uh, the issue with deepfakes is at least, decades old. And with, LLMs, it has only, gone, much worse than it used to be. So deepfakes are, AI generated videos, images, and audio, and they, make it look like, very real. With the LLMs, they look almost as good as, the real pictures. So this was an example I took where, Trump and his, uh, team generated, fake AI images of him mingling with, black folks and, folks from, Latin communities to, sway the voters, basically showing him in a picture as if he's, if is safeguarding the interest of the marginalized communities. But these, images were fake. Another example, this is, very serious example, and we should also be very careful when we are putting out our pictures on the internet. So Grok, released their model, which also, consisted of image generation model, and without any safety rule, so it was immediately weaponized by, the bad elements in the social media space. Users then generated, lot of fake images, uh, posted by women, especially, younger women on the Twitter, and they didn't have to put, any effort. They just have to write, explicit prompt in reply to the images, and the Grok, without any filter, generated, explicit images in the comment section, in the reply section of the tweet itself. So Dr. Ali Lux is a very, famous personality on the Twitter space. She got, famous for her PhD dissertation on, on politics of smell. So even, she wasn't spared of this issue. And then later on, she also gave, a lot of interviews that how it's being weaponized. And post this whole fiasco, Grok took an action, and they removed, this they added, checks that if, people were trying to create an explicit image, so they used to, ban those user, or not create the images. But the another question, arise, that how come, Grok was generating explicit images? That does mean that, the Grok had access to the explicit image data on the internet, right? Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, the consequence can be, it can be used for, extortion. It can use this for, violence and, harassment. So Grok got, pretty famous for this scandal. But even because it's a it's one of the most famous one out there, but still there are many models out there which aren't very famous, but and they don't have any safeguard. So we as a community, we should be advocating to put constitutional checks on the use of AI even in text generation, not just in image generation. Okay, another example. So in last US presidential election, the political consultants related to the Republican Party used Joe Biden's fake audio, and they called I think more than 2 lakh potential voters that they should vote in upcoming elections. So what were the consequences that the people belonging siding with the democratic uh, spectrum in that particular constituency, they got swayed with those fake audio calls. I wouldn't say not all of them, but many vulnerable folks, especially who are not so tech literate, and they were able to swing votes in that constituency, and consequently the Republican candidate won. So we should be very careful. This it can also be used in Indian elections, not just audio, but video too. The same audio example, and this leads to financial fraud. So in a famous German tech company CEO, whose subsidiary company based in UK. So the some scammer called the UK based CEO, and it was he was faking the voice of the CEO based in Germany, and the UK based CEO thought that this guy this the German guy needs money immediately, since they had go trapped. But later it was discovered the German CEO never called his colleague in UK, and that's how uh, almost 2.5 lakh dollars were swindled by scammers. So 11 Labs, which is a famous text to speech company, uh, and they offer instant voice cloning, and they just need 1 minute of audio to create a fake audio. And if you give them let's say 30-minute audio of someone, they can create very 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 good deep fake audio, which you won't be able to discern from the original one. So when we say it's a famous adage, now it has become a famous adage, right? If something is free, you are the product. So if the whole AI models, AI chat models, the social media is free, right? We are the product. The companies are tracking your behavior, the way we type, and how much minutes we watch a particular content, and whether we go to the comment section, and for the way we engage with the content, right? So they are creating models for each one of our behaviors, basically psychological profiles of our fears, desires, and even financial status. And then they push you targeted ads, targeted content, right? So they are basically manufacturing desire in you. This term, manufacturing desire, was famously coined by Yanis Varoufakis, who was the finance minister of Greece. He has written a very famous book named Techno Feudalism. I would suggest you guys to read that. That how the whole big tech and the cloud infra is manufacturing desire in the users. So yeah, I've quoted an example that once the algorithm successfully manufactures the desire and knows you are financially stretched, it certainly drops highly targeted ads of predatory instant pre-approved loans to fund those exact desires, sometimes locking in debt. So basically, even in Indian context, many these instant loan companies are targeting vulnerable folks who are later with very high rate of interest, who are later not able to pay up their loan, and then getting you locked into a debt. So we can call them digital loan sharks. So the whole internet we are using, our data is stored. We say data is stored in our cloud. So it's just a metaphor. There is no cloud. Actually, the data isn't the cloud. The data is in the data centers. Where thousands of computers are running round the clock, and they need massive amount of energy, and lot of water. So yeah, I have added an example here of MIT Technology Review, where they say if you just if you're generating one text response from let's say these major AI models, Gemini or ChatGPT, it consumes between 114 to almost 7,000 joules of energy. That is equivalent if we run a microwave for 8 seconds. And when we are generating AI videos, the energy consumed is whooping like 3.4 million joules. It's like running a microwave for a full hour. So if we are generating a 5-second video, we are, let's say, we can say we are consuming as much energy will take to, let's say, bake 3 pizzas, right? And yeah, the report also says that the global data center electricity consumption was 460 terawatt hours in 2022. So this was a figure in 2022. So we can imagine like how much it might have increased in 2026, 4 years after six. And their projection was that the demand would more than double, and by 2030 the whole data center will be consuming more electricity than the entire country of Japan. So yeah, so not just we I am pointing out the energy usage of models. We as users should be a bit uh, cognizant of our usage, that whatever we use AI is for not for uh, a fun purpose, because there are consequences of using those models. The energy it doesn't come from vacuum. For that you need coal, you need water, you need to cut trees, you need hydroelectric power. So we should be a little thoughtful about our usage. Yeah. So at our homes, we might have observed for our laptops and for our desktops that they get very warm with the usage. Let's say if we're using them for even more than hour or two. Now imagine how hot it will get in the data center, right? Where like thousand, not just thousand. In fact, in large data center, like there are lakhs of servers, or let's say computers running, and so it will be like standing in a Sahara desert, right? And for cooling those systems, we need lot of fresh water, and that fresh water comes at a cost. So especially in a country like India, where there's already dearth of potable water, especially among the marginalized communities. Right now, here we are just giving an example of a developed country in the West, where a data center requires almost 19 lakhs of water a day, right, to just cool down their systems. So, and then that water without any treatment, right, is just released into again back into the the natural water sources. And the water can have traces of heavy metals, especially when it's running through the electronics. And I give an example of Telegram, where it says like where will the massive amounts of water come from. I know we are happy that in Maharashtra some firm is setting up a big data center, but this also puts a question that okay, it will generate jobs, but at what expense, right? So yeah, this was my whole side. I know it was short. uh, it ended being a bit negative, but my overall aim was to point out the issues and create awareness among the users. Yeah, so I would say that we shouldn't be going into hyperbole and stop using AI, but we should be judicious in our use and be aware of the consequences and the bad effects, and as community collectively try to make it as good as possible.